Today, I'll be rebuilding the Colorado Buffaloes to see if I can take them all the way to the national championship here on EA College Football 26. Before we get started, I can already see the comments. No, this is not the official long-term Dynasty series that we're going to be starting pretty soon. I still need another day or two to get everything set up, and I don't want to rush it. The first episode will be coming soon, though. Hopefully tomorrow, if not, no later than Friday. I think I know the team. I'm really excited for you guys to find out, and I'm excited to get that series started. Today, though, we will be rebuilding the Colorado Buffaloes with Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, to see if we can win them a national championship. Colorado's in an interesting spot, given that they're already a 3.5-star prestige, and they're already an 86 overall. So the groundwork has already been laid, and now we've got to develop this roster to make them a championship contender, hopefully sooner rather than later. Deion Sanders and Travis Hunter are, of course, now gone in the NFL, so we're going to have to replace them. Coach Prime is not actually in the game. Instead, they have this guy who has a really nice head of hair. But I ended up creating Deion Sanders to the best of my ability. Now, unfortunately, it wouldn't let me change his alma mater since I only edited the previous coach, so I guess now he went to Georgia State. Otherwise, I tried to make his appearance pretty similar, along with what he would wear, his apparel. Seems like something that Deion would rock. So with that, we are ready to roll. Let's take a look at our initial roster. This Colorado team is in an interesting spot because they've got some good players. Jordan Seaton, the sophomore, leads the way. 92 overall left tackle, who I would expect will be here for only at most 2 years because he's on a fast track to being a first-round pick. They also have Xavier Hill on the other side, who's a 90 at quarterback. The senior, Caden Salter, will be the starter. And then next year, we hope to turn it to the true freshman, Julian Lewis. The 4-star is a very physically talented player who will be redshirted this year. And the plan is that he will be the starting quarterback for the duration of the rebuild. They've got a deep group of skill position players, a really young cast of receivers, and then I think the secondary will be quite strong, which makes sense given that they're coached by the greatest defensive back in the history of the NFL. In terms of recruiting here at Colorado, as you can imagine, there's a lot of guys who want to play for Coach Prime, for Deion Sanders, for a number of reasons. The game can't necessarily accurately reflect that, but since we're a 3.5-star prestige, there's a lot of guys across the country who want to come here. A lot of highly regarded prospects, including Dennis Parms, a 5-star corner who's a gem, and he happens to be of the lighter complexion, which is pretty rare for a 5-star corner. We'll be starting the first season at home against Georgia Tech. We've got a home-and-home with them, which means they will play here this year, and then next season we will travel out to their stadium in Atlanta. We're quite a bit better than Georgia Tech. We're an 86, whereas they are a 79. So, on paper, we should be able to win this game. Well, we started off pretty strong. In our first drive of the year, Caden Salter would lead the fellas down the field and would scramble it in for an opening drive touchdown. A great start for the Colorado offense to set the tone. However, Georgia Tech ended up battling back. This was quite the close game, 28-21 in the fourth. The Yellow Jackets are marching down the field, and we've got to get a stop here on defense. Haynes King scrambles around on the run, broken up in the end zone, and that'll make it a 4th down and 5. Defense looking to get this stop. King looks to throw it under pressure. He will dump it off short for the running back, Jamal Haynes, who does not get it. The defense gets the stop, and Colorado starts the season off on the right foot with a win. Georgia Tech gave us everything we could bargain for, but we were able to hold on. The following week, we played against Powerhouse, Delaware. Took care of business pretty easily despite a slow start. 52-21, a great showing from the offense. In our first in-conference game against Houston, we won on the road 28-14, and so far the Buffs are 3-0. To start this season, but we were expected to be 3-0. We're quite a bit better than all 3 of those teams. That brings us to week 4. We'll be hosting Wyoming, and this is our biggest game yet because of some of the recruiting visits. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to have a lot of key prospects visiting the campus, so not only do we want to play well, but we want to impress these guys, and ideally we want to win big. That way we can hopefully get enough points to potentially get some of these guys to commit. I'm confident we should be able to beat Wyoming, given that, well, they're not some great team. And sure enough, we did. 45-17. We added some points towards the end to make sure we could stat pad, blow them out, and get as many points for the visit as possible. We would get our first commitment with cornerback Gideon Hope, but we didn't do that well overall, losing out on a couple of guys. I do want to point out that this is really my first go-around of recruiting on College Football 26, so I was kind of learning on the fly. We've got our first recruiting battle with safety Ladarius Whited. We had a good visit with him last week, but Oregon has the lead. Now into week 5, our biggest and by far toughest game of the year. Number 23, 4-0 Colorado against number 9, 3-0 BYU. We've been comfortably the better team on our schedule through the first 4 games. Well, it's about to get a lot harder, and that starts today with a top 10 team in the nation. Well, we're playing pretty good. We've got the lead. We're trying to chew some clock. Caden Salter is not in the game, though. It looks like he got injured earlier. Ryan Staub in at quarterback, and luckily, he's going to kneel it out to finish this one off. A top 10 victory for the now 5-0 Colorado Buffaloes as we defeat BYU 24-17. A big win for the program that should shoot us up in the rankings, and we did it without Caden Salter. Ryan Staub came in, did a really good job. Luckily, Salter will be back next week, although Jordan Seaton, the All-American left tackle, will be out for the time being. As I simulate the week, we did lose on the safety. Whitted, he is going to Oregon, but we're doing pretty well in some of these other battles, in first place for most of them. Now we're headed to Fort Worth, facing off against TCU. We're 5-0, ranked number 18, one of just 2 teams who are undefeated in the conference, along with Texas Tech. Well, we've got another close game. TCU is giving us a run for our money. They are not making it easy on us. Driving down the field, looking to tie the game up, which they ultimately would do. 24-24, a 2-minute drill for Caden Salter and the offense. Looks like we're trying to run the ball early, and then we get a 45-yarder for Salter, putting us near field goal range. Now it's a 2nd and 9 with less than a minute to go. Salter, under pressure, has to flush out of the pocket, has room, up the middle, and scrambles for the first down. A huge play by Caden Salter, who now has nearly 140 rushing yards. As we would bring the clock all the way down to 7, Micah Welch walks it into the end zone for a touchdown. And Colorado hangs on despite a tough effort from the Horned Frogs. And the undefeated season continues for the Buffaloes as we're now 6-0. A 31-24 victory. Caden Salter with a big game rushing for over 140 yards. Recruiting is really getting down to it, though. Dylan York and George Arosha-Madu, both in tight recruiting battles. We haven't done too well in recruiting overall, though. We only have the 1 commitment so far, but the team is obviously playing well on the field, which should make things a little bit easier. Halfway through season number 1, we're undefeated, 6-0. We'll see if we can keep it going with the schedule getting harder and harder as the year goes along. Against Iowa State, took care of business. A ranked Cyclones team, not enough for our Buffaloes as we are now 7-0. We're continuing to lose out on some of these commitments, though. York is going to Oklahoma. We have recruiting battles for Jalen Kiki and Torrey Tiffin. But we're in 2nd place for both of those guys, and we're not looking good for either of them, which makes me question, if we're not going to be able to recruit well, how are we going to play good after this season? Well, the team is still certainly producing, 7-0 here at the bye week. We're in the midst of a lot of recruiting battles. We currently have the lead for wide receiver George Arosha-Madu, but we're losing for the other 2. We've got a lot of close races with some of these offensive linemen as well. Colorado's done a pretty good job of bringing offensive linemen into the program over the last couple of years after the troubles they had early with Deion Sanders. As we do land Arosha-Madu, a big addition for the offense. We also get Dennis Parms, the 5-star corner. We had the lead on him throughout the entire season, and ultimately we're able to close the deal. We do lose out on a couple of the other battles, though, unfortunately, but at least we were able to get 2 commitments this week, despite losing out on Jaleel Voss, who's going to Cal. Now we've got a rivalry game. Utah's been really disappointing this year. They're only 2-5, but you can never count out Kyle Whittingham's squad. We ended up getting the win once again. The offense showing out on the road. It's not going to show us the score here for whatever reason, but we ended up winning the game 41-27. That'll put us up at 8-0. I didn't think we were going to be this good right away, but clearly this team has the chance to do something special. despite the fact that we're continuing to lose out on these recruiting battles. Gem offensive lineman Sony Yu, we had the lead on him most of the year. Now Arizona State has overtaken us. Despite our losses in recruiting, we're continuing to win on the field, and we're currently projected to make the college football playoff. We needed a close one to beat Arizona. We were up 24-0 in this game and nearly lost, but luckily we held on, and we're now 9-0. Simulating the week, we would get some good news as Rico Tripucka will commit. He's one of the highest-ranked 4-stars in the class, but we do lose out on 2 really good offensive linemen, including a 5-star in Caleb Green, who's going to Arizona State as well. West Virginia's giving us a tough battle, but we would end up winning this game as well, 24-13. That puts us now at 10-0. The offense only scored 7 points after the first quarter, and I think our team has shown some signs of vulnerability over these last couple of weeks, but we're continuing to win, which is the most important thing. We're currently number 10 in the rankings, and you'll think we'll continue to go up and up as long as we continue to win. As I simulate into week 12, we continue to lose out on these recruiting battles to the bigger schools. Oregon swipes in late for a receiver, Dwayne Latard. It was us in Illinois for most of the battle, but Oregon comes in late to get him. Connor Lambo were in second for. His recruitment went slowly, but we couldn't go after him for most of the year because of a deal breaker. So now we sit at number 8, one of the very few undefeated teams left. That does include Texas Tech, though, who's 10-0. They still have not lost and are now number 5. Simulating our bye week, we lose out on Lambo, who's going to TCU. They were not lying at the beginning of the year with those dynamic deal breakers being annoying. Despite not having a game this week, we climbed all the way up to number 4. A number of teams ahead of us, including Texas Tech, lost. Now we've got another big game against Arizona State. The Sun Devils are 7-3, currently ranked. They have shoved us into a locker this year in terms of recruiting, stealing 2 of my top targets on the offensive line. And I think one way to get revenge would be by beating them. Pretty easily our most important game of the year. I think us being at 11-0 maybe doesn't officially cement us in the college football playoff, but it puts us in a pretty good spot. Well, this game ended up being quite close, as I expected. We have the lead, 27-23. Ryan Staub is in again at quarterback. Caden Salter got re-injured, and Staub is moving us pretty well down the field here, looking to chew some clock. We'll see if Arizona State can get the stop, and it looks like on 3rd and 4, incomplete. I don't know why we threw the ball there to begin with, but that'll lead to a punt. The Sun Devils are going to have 53 seconds to try to move down the field, and Sam Levitt gains 40 immediately. Now they're going to look to kick a field goal. It is a long one, though. A 57-yard try to keep the game alive and likely send it into overtime with everyone in the stadium on their feet. The kick is up, and it is good! He makes it! And the Sun Devils tie it up! It looks like we are headed into overtime. Arizona State starts with the ball. We've got a big 3rd down upcoming. We'll see if the defense can get the stop against one of the top quarterbacks in the game in Sam Levitt. They'll look to throw it here, going for the end zone, and it's broken up. Big play there by the defense. Arizona State would have to settle for a field goal. And now we'll see if we can win the game with a backup quarterback. Staub up the middle, 1st down. A huge conversion for Joseph Williams. Salter, for what it's worth, tore his labrum. It's a multi-week injury. Micah Welch, our starting running back, also tore his labrum today. That's a problem. Now 3rd and 3. Staub, end zone for the win, and it's broken up. In and out of the hands of Williams. I thought about going for it, but I think we're just going to kick the field goal here with Alejandro Mata. 22-yarder to send us into double overtime, and his kick is good. We are now knotted up at 30. Colorado will start with it here in overtime number 2, near the goal line. Dallin Hayden is in for a touchdown, the former Ohio State Buckeye. Colorado is back ahead, but now we have to go for 2. Now that we are in the 2nd overtime, we're going to go right back to him. Bounces off a blocker, and he is in. That's an octopus. 8-point possession for Dallin Hayden. Sam Levitt, though, would immediately score a 25-yard rushing touchdown on the first play for Arizona State. Now they're going to go for 2 and try to tie the game. We'll see what Sam Levitt and friends have up their sleeve. The 2-point conversion, they're going to run the ball, and they do not get it. Colorado gets the stop and will win the game. A game-winning tackle by Chris Brooks Stott to put the Buffaloes at 11-0. A double overtime win without our starting quarterback. Ryan Staub with a really strong performance, 307 yards in place of the injured Caden Salter to help us win the game. We're starting to get more good news in recruiting. It seems like there's some light at the end of the tunnel. We're going after some lower-ranked guys, and we're doing pretty well. Salter, by the way, will miss the next 2 weeks, as will Micah Welch, meaning that both of them should be back for the Big 12 championship. We've got a pretty close game here in our final regular season game of the year against Kansas State. Knotted up at 21. The Wildcats moving down the field. We're going to hop in here on a big 3rd down and 8 with 2.5 minutes to go. Avery Johnson up the middle. They will get the first down. A huge play for the Wildcats. Now in position to punch it in as they hand it off to the back, and he does not get it. Gabe Irvin Jr. is stopped by Reginald Hughes. And Kansas State is going to have to settle for the field goal, leaving the door open for Ryan Staub and the offense to potentially take the lead. Kick is up, and it is good. So Kansas State now leads 24-21. Let's see if Ryan Staub can push the guys down the field. Field goal ties. Touchdown would take the lead. We start the drive off strong. But now we're looking at a 3rd down and 8. Not yet into enemy territory. Staub looks to throw it. Scrambles under pressure. It is caught. Broken tackle and a first down. Jack Hystera, what a play to move the chains for the Buffaloes. Now down to around 40 seconds. We're nearing field goal range with Hayden in motion. Staub scrambles. He cannot escape and is sacked. Drew Moore brings him down, and we're going to have to use a timeout. Down to 31 seconds now. It's a 2nd and 20. Staub tries to dance around, but he is sacked again. We're struggling here with this pass rush. Staub is definitely not as mobile as Caden Salter. Hurrying back to the line. Tick, 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 tick. There's 20 seconds. On 3rd down and nearly 30. I'm going to scramble with Staub. We've got all this rushing room. Juke move. A really good gain of around 20 yards. Making it a 4th and manageable. We're sitting at a 4th and 9. We could kick the field goal. It'd be like a 55-yarder from the left hash. I wouldn't feel confident with it, so we're going to go for it. And it's caught with 6 seconds. I wanted to spike the ball. I was clicking the circle button, but it wouldn't let us spike it. So I figured, let's get back to the line, make sure we can run a play. So this is it. Final play of the game. For the end zone, it is incomplete. And the undefeated season for Colorado is no more. I don't know why they didn't let us spike the ball, though. What am I missing? Nonetheless, we are no longer undefeated, and this could make things a little bit harder in terms of making it to the college football playoff because, well, obviously, we're going to drop in the rankings. We're currently ranked number 4. We'll see where we are going into the Big 12 championship, which we'll still get to play in. We still very much control our own fate, but this Texas Tech team is really good. They're ranked number 15, and we're ranked number 11. We're maybe the last team in the playoffs, so if we lose this game against Texas Tech, I don't think we're going to get in. Texas Tech is going to jump us, and possibly some of the other teams below us could jump us as well if we play really poorly. So there's a lot at stake in this game. Our 11-0 start, all for nothing, that would not be good. We did get multiple players this week in recruiting, including a quarterback and a pretty good 4-star athlete who looks like he's going to play tight end, and then a 4-star defensive tackle. So again, things are starting to look up on the recruiting trail as we get set for our biggest game of the year. Texas Tech started the year 10-0. They were ranked as high as, I think, number 5, but they lost their final 2 games of the regular season, so they're cold. And hopefully that will stay the case here in AT&T Stadium for the Big 12 championship game. The winner goes to the college football playoff, and the loser most certainly will not. It looks like the Big 12 is going to be a one-bid league this year, and, well, we want to be that one team. Make it to the playoff right away. That would be a big deal for the program, and we're off to a flying start. Up 14-0 early. Texas Tech trying to make it competitive, but with us starting ahead, we would gain control for most of the game. Despite that, though, the Red Raiders are still very much in it. Struggling in the red zone, they would eventually tie it up, but we would take the lead shortly thereafter. Now at the 2-minute warning, Texas Tech is moving the ball well. They've got it pretty close to the end zone. I think we're going to hop in here. It is a 3rd down and 3 for the Red Raiders. Morton calls for an audible as it's a fake. Under pressure, goes short, and they will not get it. That'll lead to a huge play here for Texas Tech. 4th down and short. Wide open, too easy. Touchdown, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders tie it at 28. It's Joyner. So now the offense is going to have to lead us down the field to cement our spot in the playoff. We're doing a pretty good job so far, but there's not a lot of time on the clock, only around 30 seconds. Salter on 1st down, rolls up the middle, scrambles for the 1st down, and has it near the 10. That'll certainly put us into field goal range. Now we want to be smart with the clock and make sure we don't turn the ball over. Michael Welch up the middle. Good to have him back, along with, of course, Salter, as we're looking at a 3rd and inches with 13 seconds left. Salter will hand it back off. Welch gets the 1st down, but not in the end zone, which is probably the best thing that could have happened there. That clock is moving. There's 5 seconds left. Welch is in! Touchdown, Colorado! The Buffaloes take the lead with just seconds to play here in the Big 12 Championship. Michael Welch with the game winner, and that will win us the game and send us to the college football playoff here in our very first season of the episode. Texas Tech gave us everything they could bargain for, but with them losing 3 games in a row to end the year, we're able to win the Big 12 title. We're headed to the playoff, but the question is, who will it be against? Running back Deion Finley commenced. We lose out, though, on Kenyon Hazelton, an edge rusher who I put on the board kind of late into the year. I was really hoping we would get him. That Alabama joined in, and they were able to swoop him away. Coach Prime wins the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award. Very exciting. We would also get our offensive coordinator, Chad Butters, to win the Coordinator of the Year. Byron Brown, the quarterback of South Florida, wins the Heisman. And we will be hosting the Duke Blue Devils in the 1st round. A fascinating matchup. Duke is an interesting team led by Darian Mensah, the talented sophomore quarterback. They went 10-2 this year. I like that we're getting a home game. We're being rewarded for winning our conference championship. I also like that the top 4 seeds are not automatically given to teams who won their conference title. Now, granted, that would help us today because that would mean we would get a bye. But in real life, I think that's probably for the better. We've got the early lead here with Duke, but they're staying in it. We're up 28-21, very high-scoring game, and our offense continues to deliver. Duke is fighting back, but we've held the lead for practically the entire game. Duke would then tie it up, though, and they would get the ball back now with a chance to potentially take the lead. 3rd and 4, they don't do anything, and now our offense looks to move down the field to win the game. 3rd and 1, 1st down conversion for Salter. We're moving the ball really slowly, but we are moving it. That clock is going, though, barely a minute to go. I think this is where we're going to hop in. On 3rd down, Salter on the run. Up the middle, gets the 1st down. In hindsight, I don't know why I didn't throw it to the slot receiver. The guy going on the dig route was clearly my first read, but we could have gotten a bigger play there. 33 seconds left, up the middle again. It's Williams, has space, and he's in for a score. I guess it all worked out after all. Joseph Williams puts Colorado ahead with under 30 seconds to play here in the 1st round of the playoff. Now it's up to the defense with just seconds to go. Can they do anything here? It does not look like it. Colorado, here in the 1st season of the rebuild, has won a playoff game with Coach Prime. Coach of the Year, Coach Prime, I should say. Caden Salter had his best game as a Buff, completing 80% of his passes and was responsible for 4 touchdowns in an offensive shootout. So we win our first playoff game, and now we're going to have to play against the number 1 overall seed, the best team in the country, the Florida Gators, in the Sugar Bowl. This will be by far our biggest challenge yet. Billy Napier was once on the hot seat, and now he finds himself coaching a national championship frontrunner. His recruitment of star quarterback DJ Lagway has changed the program, and now Lagway, as a sophomore, leads the number 1 team into battle. We're the heavy underdog in this matchup, and we started off slow, down 10-0, but we were able to push through. We had it within 3, then we took the lead at 14-10, but at that point, the talent of the Gators just ended up being a little bit too much for us. Down by 2 scores late in the game, Florida would score again, and they win 38-17. Although I will say, I think we kept the game closer than the score suggests. Unfortunately, though, it's not enough to get the win, and Season 1 here with Colorado comes to a close. It was a really successful season for us, though. We went 11-1 in the regular season. We won the Big 12 championship. We won a first-round playoff game. I did not think this team was going to be this good right away, and things seem to be really promising going into season number 2, despite the fact that we're going to be losing a lot of talent, specifically our star quarterback, Deion Sanders. But Juju Lewis has been developing, and hopefully he'll be ready for the opportunity to be a starter next year. We'll see how many guys leave for the transfer portal, but for now, we return much of our skill position group. Draylon and Omarion Miller had damn near the exact same stat lines, 68 catches, 865 yards each. It's kind of funny because last year in the Kansas Dynasty, I mixed both of those guys up super often because both of them played a big piece on Colorado's roster, just as we're hoping for today. Jordan Seaton, though, was one of our weak links. He led the team in sacks allowed, despite being one of the highest-rated left tackles in the game. The other main standout had to have been Micah Welch, who scored 20 touchdowns without even playing a full season. Oregon is offering us their head coaching spot. I'm not going to say yes, but I'm curious what happened. So Dan Lanning is going to Michigan after Sharon Moore was fired. So my next question is, who is Oregon's replacement? Well, they ended up hiring Lane Kiffin. As an Oregon fan, I can't say I'd be pleased with this, but I do really like Lane Kiffin, so I guess that would soften the blow a little bit. Florida beat Notre Dame. They ended up making it to the championship, but they lost to the Georgia Bulldogs and head coach Kirby Smart as they win the first title of the rebuild. We're going to have a lot of guys leaving. Julian Lewis wants to transfer. Oh, no. We don't have another option at quarterback after him. He has to come back, and he does. Okay, that was a close call. I thought we were going to lose him. A very low chance of persuasion, but we were able to keep him. The only other player we were able to keep was wide receiver Omarion Miller, who was tied for our top receiver last year, but we're losing some good players. Jaheim Otis, Samuel Okunlola, two of the key players on our defensive line. Quanell Farrakhan, the freshman receiver who I was excited about, along with a very talented senior class, specifically our quarterback, Deion Sanders, who looks like he's going to get drafted in the 7th round. We get another commitment with running back James Small. Let's take a look at where our class as a whole is going into transfer portal week. We do not have a large quantity of players. We've got a good group, but only 9 commitments so far. Luckily, there are a number of players interested in the portal, including Colin Simmons, the 2nd-ranked player in the entire transfer portal. After doing some digging, I was hoping there would be more guys across the country who want to play here. Unfortunately, there's not. I added some 3-stars on the board to try to fill it out with depth. But these are the guys who we have in the portal. A lot of offensive linemen, which is good because we haven't been able to recruit many this year. Most of them ended up going elsewhere. A running back in Cam Cook. We're pretty good at running back, but the more talent, the merrier. And then, of course, Colin Simmons is one of the best defensive players in the country. We're only going to have him for 1 year because he's going to declare for the draft after this season. But we're going to at least try to land him. As we simulate the week, we lose out on more guys to other schools. A couple of the 3-stars. I was hoping we would get Wiley, the defensive tackle. We're already out for Neziah Hunter, the wide receiver. We are in first place for Cam Cook, Karras, the right tackle, along with Trey Zune. And we're also in first for Colin Simmons. I was worried about Georgia and Michigan, but neither of them are going after him for whatever reason. Texas Tech and UCLA looks like our main competition for Colin Simmons, and I'm a lot more confident we can beat one of them compared to Kirby Smart or Dan Lanning. As we simulate through the second week, we lose out on another guy, Anelli. I was expecting him to go to Washington, though. That wasn't really a surprise. We're in first or second for everybody else here. But unfortunately, we're starting to lose some ground on Colin Simmons. We just had him visit last week, but we've dropped to 3rd. Texas Tech has the lead. UCLA has passed us as well. So maybe the visit did not go that well. We'll simulate the week again. We're starting to lose some ground on a couple of these transfers. We do get an edge rusher, Frederick Duval, but we're not doing too well with Colin Simmons. Unfortunately, we only ended up getting 1 player in the portal. It's not Buda Telfort, but he looks pretty solid. The only guy we got, though, was along the offensive line with Trey Zune III. So we're going to get a good tackle and probably kick him inside to guard or over to right tackle since we have Jordan Seaton. But we lost out on all the other guys. We lost out on Cam Cook, who is going to USC. We lost out on the other offensive lineman. Cage Casey's going to Oregon. Colin Simmons is going to Texas Tech. So we didn't do that well in the portal. We only got one guy, but we were able to get some 3 stars, fill out the recruiting class. We only end up 44th overall, which isn't great. Again, keep in mind, this is my first recruiting class of the year. I went into the second season with a lot more of a plan, recruiting-wise. And if nothing else, the players in terms of quality we got are really good. 5-star corner, really good transfer offensive lineman, another top 40 defensive back. So, on paper, I like where the team is at. We're an 87 overall at the time being. Stoutmeyer, the safety, his development trait goes up to star. That's one of our key starters. And he ended up improving quite a bit, as did everybody else. Some big additions I see, although Julian Lewis only went up by 3. I was hoping for a little bit more. The team is in a good spot, though, I feel like, going into the second season. We've got Georgia Tech and Northwestern on the road, followed by FCS West and then Texas Tech. Our first conference game, a rematch of the Big 12 title, and of course, they stole Colin Simmons from us in the portal. I noticed there were more good players across the country interested in our school. I guess that's what happens when you win a conference championship, win a playoff game, and your school moves up to a 4-star prestige. Let's get this show on the road, though. The Julian Lewis era begins, and it would begin with a bang. Double overtime against Georgia Tech, but we would win it 45-43. A high-flying offensive thriller. The team did not play that well, but we did get a strong debut from Juju Lewis, who threw for 3 scores, although he was arguably outplayed by Georgia Tech's quarterback, a familiar name for us, Ryan Staub, who threw for 5 touchdowns. Staub transferred to Georgia Tech, leaving us after making a couple of spot starts last year. He was not supposed to be the starter, though, but their freshman got hurt in the first game of the year, and now Ryan Staub has been thrusted into the role. Our next game, we blew out Northwestern. A 25-point ranked road victory. A big win for the Buffs as we now find ourselves at a record of 2-0. The wins would keep coming. We beat FCS West the following week, although they had the lead after the first quarter. But we ended up winning 38-10, completing our non-conference slate, undefeated once again. And now we've got the big one. Texas Tech here in week 4. They are 3-0, playing some good football as well. Both of these teams are kind of out for blood. Texas Tech wants revenge for us beating them in the conference championship and taking them out of the playoff. We want revenge for them stealing Colin Simmons in the portal. They also got Marcel Reed, the Texas A&M quarterback as well, and they would not get their revenge. 41-10, a blowout against number 18 Texas Tech. A dominant victory for Colorado, and the wins would continue. The following week, we would go up to 5-0 as we beat our rival Utah once again. Utah's playing a lot better than they did last year. Again, I don't know why it's not showing us the score with the Utah game specifically, but we ended up winning 31-20. The following week, however, we played against Cincinnati, and we took a shocking upset. 27-20, the Bearcats get the win, and this changes things for us. We were 5-0, playing some good football, but now we lose to Cincinnati, and we fall from the top 10 all the way to number 24. A harsh push in the rankings. We're 3rd in the conference, and now we've got to get back on track. That starts this week against 4-2 Houston, who's quite a bit better than last year when we played against them, although they gave us a competitive game in that matchup. But we came into this game pissed off, and luckily, we were able to win it 27-9. This game was huge for us, not just for the sole fact that we were able to get back on the win column, but also for recruiting. We have done much better so far this year recruiting, and we got multiple players this week, including a 5-star offensive tackle, Casey Terrell, a 4-star corner, Tremaine Brink, who's practically a 5-star. I think he's the 30th ranked player in the nation. Everybody here is in first place. I went into this recruiting cycle with much more of a plan rather than just recruiting certain players for the hell of it, and it's worked out quite well. The following week against UCF, we won 35-14. Another pivotal matchup in terms of recruiting visits. We had multiple 5-stars, including the number 2 ranked player in the nation, visit during our win against UCF. We're in first place for everyone here, including linebacker Jamie Clinton, the 2nd-ranked player in the nation, and wide receiver Deontay Livings, another 5-star, who we're in a really good spot for with Georgia and Miami chasing behind. The team kept on winning after that as we beat Baylor on the road 23-7 in a defensive slugfest. And we got our revenge on Kansas State, who beat us last year, pushing us up to 9-1. That brings us to Arizona State, a really close game. We cannot afford to lose this one. Our playoff hopes could be on the line. We're down 27-23 with 10 seconds to go. Juju Lewis on the run, hit as he throws, as it is caught. Draylon Miller to around the 5. We're going to call a timeout with 2 seconds, and we're going to have one play to win the game. Lewis rolls out on the run. It's caught! Touchdown! Colorado wins it! Cam McKell with the game-winning touchdown. And the Buffaloes hang on to defeat Arizona State 29-27. This win saved our season because now we still control our own destiny within the conference. Had we lost, we would not have made the Big 12 title. The 5-star wide receiver, Deontay Livings, commits. We did lose out on the great linebacker, though, Jamie Clinton, a couple weeks prior, going to Georgia. But we're getting a bunch of guys this week. We got a running back with Romeo Horner. Massey, the guard, we were in a tight battle with USC. I thought we were going to get Nolan Dunsmore, though. I'm disappointed he's going to Nebraska. But we landed 4 guys this week, and we now have the 14th ranked class in the country with 2 really good 5-stars and a bunch of highly ranked 4-stars. We're definitely doing better than last year. We still don't have a large quantity of players just yet, but we've got a lot of 3-stars on the board where we're the only team going after them, so I would suspect that's going to change. Now for our final game of the regular season against a respectable Oklahoma State squad, we ended up getting the win, 42-25, and for a second straight season, we finished the regular season 11-1. We're going to be ranked higher than we were last year, though, going into the conference championship, which bodes well for our seeding. Julian Lewis broke the Colorado single-season passing yards record. I'm honestly surprised Deion Sanders, or nobody else for that matter, had that high of a total, only 3,300, and he didn't even need a playoff run to do it. It only took him to 12 regular season games, but he is now the single-season school passing yards record in his first year as a starter. We're ranked number 5, and we'll play against Iowa State in the Big 12 title, looking to defend our crown. Now, even if we lose this game, I think we're still going to make the playoff, but winning this would be very important because we could potentially move up the ranking and get a first-round bye. I think that could be very valuable for us. Yes, we did win our first-round playoff game last year, but that's not a gimme. Every team in this tournament is really, really good, so I will take all the free advancement we can get. And luckily, we ended up taking care of business. 38-17 against the Cyclones. We're now 12-1, and hopefully a big, comfortable 3-score win like this is enough to convince the committee that we deserve a top 4 ranking and thus a first-round bye in the college football playoff. We're now 2 for 2 on Big 12 titles in this video. A little bit less intense than last year's game against Texas Tech. Cam Coleman wins the Heisman. He transferred to Tennessee and had a ridiculous season. Buck Buchanan wins the Lou Groza Award. And we do not have a game this week. We are ranked number 3, and we will play against the winner of Ole Miss or, oh no, not again, a rematch with Texas Tech? We've made it to early National Signing Day, and the recruiting class is coming along really nicely. Pretty much all of the highly ranked targets on our board have committed, whether it's to us or somewhere else. But we have the top 10 class in the country. If you like drama, well, guess what? You're getting it. We're playing against Texas Tech in the Fiesta Bowl in the second round. They beat Ole Miss round 3. We beat them in a very close game in the Big 12 championship last year. Then they steal Colin Simmons from us in the portal. Then we blow them out earlier this season in the regular season. I think we won that game 41-10. We'll see if we can do it again and make it to the national semifinal. Our biggest game of the episode yet against our newest rival. And it's a pretty competitive game so far. Texas Tech would take the lead 14-7. Then they add to the lead. Uh-oh. What is going on? Our offense is not playing well enough. Texas Tech appears to be in control, but we would make it a game. 21-16. And we're driving down the field, potentially with a chance to take the lead here with 5 minutes to go. Juju Lewis, in the biggest drive of his career as a redshirt freshman, brings us into the red zone as it is a 3rd down and 11. Our biggest play of the year with 3.5 minutes to go. We're not in position to kick a field goal. We've got 2 chances for the end zone. Bad throw, still caught by Welch as he gets around 7, and that'll make it a 4th down and 4. This may very well be our last chance if we don't punch this one in, so we've got to convert right here. Lewis is intercepted, though. It's picked off. Texas Tech forces the takeaway. I thought the receiver was open, but the corner, playing great zone coverage, baits us into making the throw. A really, really smart play there by Marion Horn, the senior. And now Texas Tech is looking to chew some clock and finish off the job. 2.5 to go. 3rd down and 3 with Marcel Reese now at quarterback. It's an RPO, and they do not get it. A potential season-saving tackle by the All-American DJ McKinney, and they're going to go for it. Here on 4th and 1, we're out of timeout, so this is it. A 1st down ends the game and ends our season. They will go to the ground, and they barely get it. It's Quentin Joyner with the clinching 1st down, and the Red Raiders get the last laugh. We beat them twice. They steal our prized transfer. But when it matters the most, Texas Tech gets the win, and we lose in the playoff in the 2nd round for a 2nd year in a row. This feels a lot different than last year, though. Last season, we exceeded expectations. We won a playoff game. We were pretty happy with our season. This year, I can't help but feel disappointed. We got a 1st round bye. We lost to a team who we beat by 30 earlier in the year. Texas Tech would make it to the national championship where they lose to Florida, who, of course, beat us last year in the playoff. So that now brings us to a pivotal offseason. It looks like Jordan Seaton might potentially want to transfer. That is not good. Now, I was expecting him to leave anyway, but I figured he'd leave for the NFL. Now, luckily, there's only one other player looking to transfer, and it's a backup. Seaton, unfortunately, will be entering the portal along with Drayton, but outside of those guys and the seniors, we're bringing everybody back. Still some key losses, though, with guys like DJ McKinney, Carter Stoutmeyer, and Trey Zune leaving the program for the NFL. We got a big-time commitment with running back Eric Gibbs, a top 100 recruit, along with Quentin Obie, another running back. So the class is continuing to fill out nicely as we make it into the transfer portal week. I think our class is in a good spot. We've got 8 open spots on the board, but that may change depending on who wants to come here in the portal. And there is a lot of interest. Look at all these guys in the portal who want to come here. Some really highly ranked prospects. The 2nd-ranked player in the portal, Kalik Lockett. The 3rd-ranked player, Harlem Berry. A lot of All-American caliber guys want to come to Colorado. Look at all the running backs. They are all in 1st. We can't pick all of them, though. We're going to have to be selective with the guys that we pick. I ended up taking some of the 3 stars off of our board with the hopes of potentially adding them back on if we need more players on the team. I'm going to add most of the top transfers like Harlem Berry and Kalik Lockett. Obviously, we're going to go after them. I wanted to focus on position of need, such as defensive line, and then a lot of really good players in the secondary. I figured we could rebuild the DB room after losing guys like McKinney and Stoutmeyer. We're going to give all these guys 50 points right away. We've got the amount of points to do so, and there's no reason to wait. Hopefully we can get lucky and land most of these guys as we get a 3-star quarterback in Frank Lamar. And we're climbing up the list for a lot of these transfers. For Kalik Lockett, we're already in 2nd place, so we're off to a pretty good start. Most of them are down to 5. We're going to have to be selective on when these guys visit. For the most important players, I'm going to have them visit now. Harlem Berry, I'm going to have come this week. Kalik Lockett, I'm going to have come this week. We're also going to schedule out most of our visits for next week as well, but still leave week 4 open. So we'll see if we end up getting lucky within the transfer portal as we get Dalvin Michaels, an offensive tackle. O.J. Federic, a 4-star corner from the portal. That is a big get for us. He's one of the top corners in the country. We get Kerry Brown, one of the top safeties coming from Minnesota, and then C.J. Johnson from Kansas. We did lose out on Riley Von Poppel, who's going to LSU. USC seems to have the edge on a couple of guys, including Kalik Lockett and Terrence Green. I don't think we're going to get Lockett. USC is too big of a lead. The visit did not go well enough. Terrence Green, same thing. He visits this week, but USC is up by too much, so we're going to replace them with different guys. There are a number of good players who still have us in 1st place, even though we have not expressed any interest yet. As we get DJ Pickett, a big-time corner from LSU. Secondary's looking really nice. We just got 4 starters. We do lose out on Harlem Berry and Chris Lawson and Jamari Deloach. Berry going to Alabama, which is unfortunate. I think he could have been a huge addition for the offense. We have a good running back room as is, but he's probably going to be rated in the 90s this year. I re-added some of the 3 stars who were previously on the board, and going into the final week, I think wide receiver Micah Tease is by far the closest battle. We can hard sell him if we want. The problem is I don't know which pitch to choose, and there's 2 possibilities, so we could guess. I don't think it's worth the risk. We have the lead, although it's neck and neck. He's visiting Texas Tech this week. I would hate to not only lose him, but lose him to our new biggest rival. So hopefully he does not end up going there. Also, we have to watch out for O.J. Federic to potentially flip back to Miami where he started his career. His playing time deal breaker is at an F because we got DJ Pickett. Losing Federic would suck because he might be the best player on our team next year, but the secondary is already really strong, so I think we'll be okay. We ended up getting a lot of commitments in this final stage, a number of our transfer targets, a number of the 3-star freshmen. We got the number 1 punter in the high school class with Marco Alvarado, Colin Wilson, and Amarian Peterson, a couple of running backs from the portal since we missed out on the big dogs. Derek Bledsoe at wide receiver. We do lose out on Micah Tease, though. He had a good visit at Texas Tech. The Red Raiders shove us into a locker again. I really hope we play them this year. I would love to beat them. We also lose out on running back De'Aaron Hill, who's going to Penn State. We had the lead for him. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. But we do get the 8th ranked class in the country, 2 5-stars, 18 4-stars, and 13 3-stars. I told you we would fill out the 3-stars. Really good transfer class, really good freshman class, and we got a very large quantity, nearly filling up the entire 35-player board. Jordan Seaton, by the way, is not going anywhere. He didn't get a scholarship. You could have just stayed here, dude. His deal breaker was playing time. Obviously, I was going to play him this year. The other offensive linemen on the team kind of stink. So he shouldn't have left to begin with, and nobody wanted him. Plus 10 for Dennis Parms. He's a 91 as a true sophomore. This secondary looks unfair. Holy moly. We also have a big boost for Juju Lewis. He is now an 88. Michael Welch is an 88. Him and Amarian Peterson are going to be a great duo in the backfield. And look at the receiving room. Cam McKell goes up 7. Lemon goes up 11. This roster is loaded for this year. And as we continue to play well, there's going to be more good players wanting us. There were so many more top guys interested in our school. A lot of 5-stars, plenty of 4-stars. It feels like recruiting is going to be a lot easier now that we're coming off of 2 super successful seasons. Our schedule is formatted pretty strangely, though. We had 3 home games, 4 road games, then 4 home games, and then on the road at the end at BYU. So we do not have a home game in between weeks 3 and 9, and we have 4 straight in-conference road games in that stretch. The positive of our schedule, though, is that I think our non-conference slate is pretty easy, especially here in week 1, hosting an FCS opponent. We won pretty convincingly last year, and I think our team is even better. With a year of development for Juju Lewis, who's now an 88, with our huge additions within the transfer portal, we lost some guys, but got better, I feel. 61-0 in our first game of the year, and we didn't even score in the first quarter. In week 2, we one-upped ourselves. We scored 62 against Northwestern, winning 62-3. And through our first 2 games of the year, we are outscoring our opponents by 120. Amarian Peterson had 4 touchdowns, while Micah Welch had 100 yards. Week 3, we came back down to earth, but still beat Northern Illinois 25-9. Through our first 3 weeks of the year, we have not allowed a touchdown yet. But that's where things get more challenging. We're headed on the road for our first of 4 consecutive road games against Iowa State. They're ranked, they're undefeated. Of course, we beat them in the conference title last year. I figured it's going to get a lot harder for us. Not quite. We put up a 50-piece on Iowa State and beat them by 44 points on their home turf. 51-7. This team might be pretty special, guys. The following week, we did not play as well offensively, but we still beat Houston 23-10. That's the most amount of points we've allowed defensively through 5 weeks. Got to do better on that side of the ball. Week 6 was our first challenge against Arizona. They gave us a tougher game than we expected, but we still ended up winning 38-28. I'll give Arizona credit, though. They scored more points than we allowed through the first 5 weeks of the season combined. This was our first tough game. We didn't play well early, but we played it pretty good after the first quarter. We get a 5-star recruit, Viliami Tong, continuing to do well recruiting-wise. As we now get set for the second half of the regular season, we will start with UCF. We're hoping to continue to play well as we have through the first half of the season. But we're not looking too hot here against the Knights. Tied with under a minute to go, UCF is moving down the field slowly. They're unable to score. That brings us into overtime. Our offense needs to punch it in as we find ourselves with a 3rd and 6. Julian Lewis up the middle. Nice catch! Joseph Williams hauls it in for the first down, and we are moving it nicely, nearing the goal line. 3rd and 3. It's a Marion Peterson. Breaks a tackle, and he is in for a touchdown. So Colorado marches down the field. We end up scoring. Now we need to get a stop defensively, up by 7. UCF will get their chance to tie the game, and they find themselves with a 4th down and 5. Game on the line for UCF. The undefeated season up for grabs for Colorado as we get the sack. Christian Hudson, his 2nd of the game, and the Buffaloes hang on in overtime. I want to point out, I like how there's a different celebration when it's an overtime game versus a close game. That's a good touch. Good work, EA. That puts our Buffaloes now at 7-0. We haven't really moved up in the rankings too much, I guess because our competition hasn't been that great. But Kansas is giving us a tough matchup here. We find ourselves down by 1, marching down the field, and we're moving it pretty slowly but surely. Damani Maxson breaks up the pass, leading to a 3rd and 7. I'm used to playing as Kansas with Damani Maxson. This feels weird being against him. Lewis on the run, wide open! It's Draylon Miller with the juke move inside the 25, and that'll put Colorado in field goal range. We would chew as much clock as we can, under a minute left. Micah Welch walks into the end zone for a touchdown, and did he just smack him on the butt? Okay then, Colorado's going to go for 2. Try to make it a clean 7-point lead here in the 4th quarter as Lewis looks to throw it up the middle. It's caught! An 8-point possession for Colorado, and now we'll see what Kansas can do with Isaiah Marshall leading the way at quarterback. They're not moving it too well. There's a big play, though, 28 yards for Caraway. But with 2 seconds left, they're not going to have enough time to get this play off, and that's going to do it. Colorado with another close win, 38-31 against Kansas. We were blowing teams out the first 5 weeks of the year. Our last 3 games have been a lot closer. I'm a little bit concerned going into our biggest matchup of the year. Undefeated Colorado, undefeated Arizona State. Both of us are 9-0, sitting atop the conference. We are number 5. They are number 8. Everything is up for grabs in this game. A playoff spot could potentially be determined by who wins this one. So we know we've got to come out swinging. 2 of the best teams in the country. 2 of the only undefeated teams left. Certainly on national television. Our biggest regular season game of the entire episode. Arizona State scores first. I've noticed that our team has started really slow as of recent. That's the case again today. As we're now down by 14 in the second half, we would bring you within 7. A chance to tie it. We do. Now Arizona State doesn't score. We had a field goal, and we end up winning the game. 17 unanswered points to finish, and Colorado knocks off the unbeaten Sun Devils 23-20. That puts us at 10-0, looking to complete the undefeated regular season as we defeat TCU 34-10, and we finish off this season at BYU, blowing out the Cougars 45-3. We were a little shaky towards the middle of the season, but 2 blowouts and our comeback against Arizona State makes me feeling more confident going into the postseason as we'll play against Oklahoma State, who's ranked number 5 in the Big 12 title game. We currently sit number 2, 12-0, only behind Florida, a team who we played against earlier today and lost to. We've won the Big 12 title in each of the first 2 seasons of the episode. What do you say we do it again? 3rd time's the charm for Coach Prime and the fellas. Now, even if we lose this game, we're still going to the playoff, and we might still end up getting a first-round bye. Ideally, though, I would like to win. Seems like we're in control up by multiple possessions, and we're going to take the win. 35-23. We're going to lock ourselves into the playoff. We're going to lock ourselves into a first-round bye and potentially the #1 seed if Florida loses in the SEC title game. 13-0, undefeated. This team is special. I really think we can go all the way and win the whole thing. Julian Lewis breaks the Colorado single-season touchdowns record. We win the Big 12 title, and now it's time to simulate into the first week of the playoff. Another wide receiver wins the Heisman, Desi Jones of Ohio State. I've noticed receivers win the Heisman a lot in this game. Quentin Klim wins the Lou Groza Award. Second straight year we've had the Groza winner. And we are the #1 team in the nation. Florida does end up losing. They drop to Georgia. So we're the only undefeated team left in the entire country. We're the #1 seed, and we've got the Oregon Ducks here in the second round. A former Pac-12 foe playing against us at the Sugar Bowl. It's been a really strong year for Julian Lewis with 30 touchdowns. The dynamic duo of Marion Peterson and Micah Welch has been one of the top running back tandems in the country. Joseph Williams already at over 1,000 yards. And then look at the offensive line. I thought this would be a weakness for us. True freshman Glenn Miranda has only allowed 2 sacks. Our offensive line has been outstanding. And then defensively, Justin Bigby, 11 sacks. Dennis Parms, 6 interceptions. That guy is such a stud. He's going to be a first-round pick in 2 years from now. The entire secondary loaded, but him in particular, easily one of my favorite players of the rebuild. So here we are, another playoff run for Colorado. After a first-round bye, we find ourselves here at the Sugar Bowl in the second round. We've lost in the second round 2 years in a row, but this season it feels different. This team is a lot better than seasons 1 and 2, but we're struggling early. We start slow. We were down 13-0, but we would take the lead by halftime. How fitting. We're up 24-20. Oregon takes the lead, 27-24. Now they're up by 10, but we would respond with a touchdown, making it 34-31. And now we've got to get a stop defensively, which we do. We'll see if the offense can move the ball down the field and tie or take the lead as we look at a pivotal 3rd down and 8. Lewis alone in the backfield. He'll go short. Joseph Williams with the first down past the 30. A huge conversion for Colorado as that brings us to the 2-minute timeout. Lewis on 3rd and 1 up the middle with Micah Welch. A juke move, and Welch brings it all the way near the goal line. 12 carries, 126 yards. Nearing the goal line, we're having some trouble punching it in as Welch loses yardage. And now it's 2nd and goal with 45 seconds. Lewis up the middle. It's caught for a score. Joseph Williams puts Colorado ahead with under a minute to go here in the 4th quarter. We were down by 10 only a few minutes ago, but we come from behind. The defense looking to get one more stop, which we will. Colorado's heading to the semifinals. We get over our boogeyman and we make it out at the second round. We're no longer the Philadelphia 76ers of college football, but the journey keeps forth. Our goal this year was not to make it out of the second round. It was not to win the Sugar Bowl. The goal was to win the national championship. Joseph Williams' game-winning touchdown broke the Colorado season and career record. Dope that it happened on such an important play. Williams started the rebuild as our young sophomore who I was excited to build around, and now he's one of the all-time Colorado greats at the wide receiver position. Officially the Sugar Bowl champions. We'll see who we play in the Final Four, as it'll be Lincoln Riley's guys, the USC Trojans, in the Orange Bowl in Miami. For those of you who watched the Kansas Dynasty last year, you may remember whenever USC made the playoffs, they lost in the semifinals in the round of 4. This is where they normally lose. So hopefully that's the case again, and we can make it to the national championship where we would play against either Texas or Georgia. 3 college football blue bloods and Colorado remain. We would score immediately, finally a fast start, the offense moving early, but USC's offense is right there with us. They were up by as many as 14 points, and we brought the lead within 7, but both offenses have really stalled here in the 4th quarter. We do have the ball, though, with under 3 minutes to go and a chance to potentially tie the game, and we're moving it well. We're running the ball super efficiently, but we find ourselves with a 3rd down and around 3 here at the 2-minute timeout. Lewis looks to throw under pressure. He's sacked! Terrence Green, his third of the game. And remember, we went after Terrence Green this year in the transfer portal, but he committed to USC over us. 4th down and 10, game possibly on the line. It's caught. Miller, juke move, he's in! Draylon Miller with the touchdown, and Colorado ties it on a 4th and 10. So now it's USC's turn, and they are quick to work down the field. Problem is they ran out of time. And this game's going to overtime. It feels like we dodged a bullet. USC starts with the ball. 3rd and 2, they convert, and they would eventually score a touchdown. It's a 7-point game, and the offense gets the ball back, needing a touchdown to tie it. 3rd and 9, up the middle. Micah Welch does get the first down. A good play after the catch and a good throw by Juju Lewis to keep the drive going. Following play, it's a screen. Wide open, Peterson with room to the left side. Breaks the plane! Amarion Peterson is in for a touchdown, and the Buffaloes are an extra point away from tying it. But I like to be bold. We're going for 2. We're going to end the game right here on this play. Handoff, Welch, he's in! Colorado is going to the national championship. A ballsy play call by Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, to keep his offense out on the field and go for 2. We did not want USC to get the ball back. We wanted our offense to end it right there, and it's Micah Welch who's been a stalwart the entire episode in our offense at running back. 4 touchdowns for Julian Lewis. He wins the player of the game. We win the Orange Bowl. We're going to the Natty, where we will play against the Texas Longhorns. They knocked off the number 2 seeded Georgia Bulldogs. They were only the 3rd highest ranked team in the SEC in this tournament. They've got some really good players, though. At quarterback, the Washington transfer, Devon Williams Jr. leads the way now as a senior. This right here is everything we've been building for today, the national championship. We also have a chance to be the first fully undefeated season in the history of the 12-team playoff. As a wise man once said, undefeated, never lost. That's the goal. Texas would score first, we would quickly tie it, and then take the lead. Our offense would add to it, up 17-7, then another touchdown, then another field goal, then another touchdown, then another. Oh my goodness, we are mopping the floor with them. I did not see this coming at all. I do want to hop in, though, for the final kneel down. I thought I'd have to come in to try to make some big plays in a close game like the Oregon and USC matchups, but clearly not. We're going to go for it on 4th down, and we end it with Micah Welch, the senior running back. It's only fitting. He's been arguably the MVP of the video, and now we're going to kneel the clock out for good. The Colorado Buffaloes, with quarterback Julian Lewis as a redshirt sophomore, have won the national championship. It took us 3 seasons today, but Coach Prime has won a title here at Colorado. The haters said he couldn't do it at the beginning of his Colorado tenure. There have been ups and downs for him, but he's been able to get the job done, and in blowout fashion. We had 2 extremely close playoff games, a nail-biter with Oregon. Against USC, we had to go for 2 to win the game. But here against Texas, we steamrolled these guys. I certainly did not see this one coming at all. The player of the game here in the national championship, it's only right, Micah Welch. 16 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. What a career for Welch here at Colorado. We've got to see the guys with a trophy. We've got to see Juju Lewis holding up the College Football Playoff National Championship trophy as Colorado completes the perfect undefeated season. There we are, national champions. Coach Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes have done it. I figured this was going to be a tight game if we do end up winning it. I did not think we'd beat them by 30, but here we are. Juju Lewis played a strong game while Devon Williams threw 4 interceptions and got benched. Yes, I will be trolling my Washington fan friends about this for a while. 128 yards for Micah Welch. Peterson did not play too well through the air. Williams, 107. Cam McKell with a score. And then the defense, man, they were absolutely terrific. 2 interceptions for O.J. Frederick. Both CJ Johnson and Kerry Brown each had one as well. All four of those guys, remember, coming in through the transfer portal. So we've done what we set out to do at the beginning of the video, bringing this Colorado team all the way to a national championship. And I think we had a little bit of luck on the way with the team playing super well early on, and then in the second offseason with all those guys wanting to come in through the transfer portal. But I think we took advantage of our opportunities. Micah Welch, the all-time school rushing touchdown leader. Juju Lewis, the all-time school passing touchdowns leader, as we take home a college football playoff national championship and an undefeated season at 16-0. From our blowouts early to our struggles towards the middle of the season to some close games late and then the blowout against Texas to finish off the job. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's certainly a little bit different from me. I've never really formatted a video like this, but let me know what you liked about it, maybe what you disliked about it, if there are other teams you would like to see me rebuild like this in the future. Of course, the long-term Dynasty series will be starting in the coming days. Again, I hope you guys are excited for that. I think the first episode and the series as a whole is going to be really, really fun. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new for more EA College Football 26. Peace out.